we took the SEPS export, and the initial tower that I showed you with 30 floors is automatically generated from the SEPS export. So it creates a BIM, it creates a COBie, it creates the adjacencies if there are other attributes associated with it in the BIM, and immediately we could export that to DProfiler, and you could start doing cost estimating or siting or cut and fill with that. So this happens within minutes. We're not necessarily saying this is the final view, but we wanted to show that's kind of the process that we work through. And then if we say, okay, here's a building and here's the footprint that we need, this building actually has all the spaces inside it. And within that, we could even start getting more detail and say, well, we really need to shape it like this, and we need to avoid, in fact, there was kind of a runoff area here that we were trying to avoid, so we need to move it away from that, or do we place it here and get the water coming underneath it? You'll see this later from Beck's examples as well, too. So conceptually, it's how do we take it from that paper sketching format and sketching where do we put a building to being able to see it here at scale on top of the Leestown site and say we want to take out this parking lot and put it right here. So those are the kind of discussions we were having with Leo Daly when we went through the live charrette. And all of this is, as we're moving this around, it does create an initial cost estimate, for example. You can say, okay, give me a cost estimate from this. It's obviously a very early one, and it's based on just square footages, but we can change those assumptions. And as we're stretching things around, the cost and the square footage and all the reports essentially are automatically created from that stretch that I just did. Actually changed that floor plate. So it updated the square footage, it updated the report, it updated the BIM that would go into Revit that we would hand to the architectural team to continue with, or to DProfiler to do a more detailed analysis of the skin. So back to the concept of how much time does it take. Yeah, we're saving some time doing this stuff, but essentially we're transferring the time that it takes to manually create reports into actually working on decisions about where do we place this building. So let's say we want to place it on the site here in the corner. We could hit the 3D button, and this particular building, there was no design work done. This was automatically just from an Excel file, so you'll see it going into the 3D view here, and I could say turn on the spaces. Do I just want the volume, or do I want the spaces? And that's color coded by department, and zoom in here. So you'll see that the spaces here are just automatically placed on the floor. So in the Excel file, it says I'm going to place this on the 7th floor, so it places on the 7th floor. And if I click to it, it says it's called the Veterans Canteen and how many square feet it is. And if I click on the floor, it gives me the square footage of the floor. And if I twirl this around, you can actually see the bump that I created on the lower floor. I actually bumped it out there, so it's kind of cantilevering over. And if I click on the site, it's giving me a total square footage, acreage of this site, and even early estimates of electrical and water usage. These are based on still very high level rules of thumb, but when we go into other tools and we start doing more detailed energy analysis, like you'll see in DProfiler, you can start cranking those assumptions down and getting more detailed analysis from that. The other thing is, as I put this on the site here, if I export this out, as they were having that discussion, so we can actually see that happening. So now I'm going to show just one other view here. If I open this up and put it into Google Earth, I saved it to my desktop. So I went from the internet, saved it to my desktop. Now I'm going to open up Google Earth for a second and show just a couple of views here. Okay, so here's the same building now in Google Earth. And the previous view I showed you was in a plugin, but this one actually has some other features in it that you can say, okay, I want to, again, get information about the spaces. And if I want to look at it from street level, I say, what does it look like from street level? It opens this up, and obviously we have one of the spaces going off into the street, but this was odd. No designer has touched this other than moving the building over. It's the SEPS data, placing the blocks on the right floor, and these were the discussions we were having from the corner of the building. What does it look like from that intersection? Can we place it? What about the setback distances? So this literally happens within minutes. When you get the SEPS data in, bring it in, the BIM, the first view of it, how many floors do we have? What is this floor? And then we exit street view and we look at it back from the Yeah, it would get automatically. Either it automatically updates, or you can manually update it as well. Okay, the next view I'll show is that was before any design work was happening. Just the initial SEPS output that came that said, here's how much square footage we're thinking for this clinic. They hadn't resolved yet the existing facilities.